Hello, Tar Heel Nation. Welcome back to the UNC Hoops Talk podcast. Hopefully, you haven't forgotten. I am still here. I'm still alive. I know it has been 4 months since the last podcast. Took pretty much the entire off season off. I just looked. The last podcast was titled "The First Off Season Podcast," and then now here we are in middle to end of September without another podcast in between. But I am here. It is time to ramp up to get ready for the new season. This podcast is going to be kind of just a short one, trying to explain myself, ask for forgiveness, ask for your comeback, all that good stuff, and kind of look to what's coming up. But tons of stuff has happened, and it's kind of all old news now, so we're not going to get into that. We had the draft and summer league with our guys there, new contracts for our guys, trades, all that stuff. We had the newcomers come in. I don't think our roster has changed any since I last podcasted. So it's not like we've added a recruit or added another grad student. I think I talked about all those guys, Keeling and Pearson and all those guys. So we'll get to talk a little bit more of those on a future podcast. Of course, while I'm gone, YouTube changed everything here. So got to figure out how we're doing this live stuff and the podcast stuff just to get the audio and all that stuff, but working through it. Glad to have you with, and good to be back in front of the camera on the mic, talking with you guys and talking Tar Heel basketball. It's coming so soon. I'm so far behind where we normally are. Usually in the past July, August, I've done a recruiting podcast. September is I think usually when we do the predictions podcast. We get into, going through the schedule, the live schedule. The full schedule is out. Go to goheels.com. You find every game. I don't think there's a lot of times up there. But, before we jump into that stuff, I kind of want to explain. Obviously, if you've been listening a while, I got 4 kids. I stayed home with the kids, which allows me to do this. But also with 4, it's been kind of overwhelming. I got a 2 and a 1-year-old. So that's been crazy. Our summer, we had a couple funerals. We had, vacations, and it's just been nuts, which I'm sure it has been for you guys as well. And hopefully this is even working. I guess if anybody's watching, you can let me know. It doesn't look like my audio is working or something. But anyway, I'm going to keep going just in case it is. I thought maybe when school started, I'd send a couple of them off to school, that it would kind of slow down, and it just hasn't. It's just been crazy. But that being said, I knew it was time. I didn't hear from anybody saying, hey, where's the next podcast? I've been missing the podcast, any of that stuff. So I started to wonder, should I even keep the podcast up, or should I kind of close it down? Still love to hear your feedback on that. I guess if you're watching, you're somebody who does listen. But I don't know. I just kind of looking for feedback and looking for what the right answer is. I can't really, once the season starts, we go every week, and we're covering, 2-3 games on those weeks. So I don't know that I can do a whole month in between podcasts, because it'd just be so much. And I've tried to kind of cut them shorter, and I just ramble on too much or something. I don't know. It doesn't really work to go shorter. So still trying to figure stuff out, get suggestions. I have thought about, I haven't put it out there at all. This is the first time I'm kind of actually saying it out loud, but kind of having somebody else do the podcast, and I'll put them up. So I guess if you're somebody that would, I don't know if I'm even looking for a co-host, because the schedules would be too hard to match up. I think that's the words I'm looking for. To get the scheduling to work, to have a co-host, I think would be a little bit hard. Even getting guests on, I'm bad about. So I guess I'm maybe throwing out there, if somebody wanted to do the weekly podcast or take one a month. Obviously, I'd like it to be somebody, I've had some communication with, that kind of stuff. Somebody that knows what they're doing here, could upload the video, or at least get the video and send it to me so I could upload it, that kind of stuff. But if that's something you're interested in, something you think you could do, I would be up for that. Or at least we could talk about it a little bit more. Again, I would like it to be somebody that has listened for a while, been a long time listener, and kind of knows the format of the podcast. Not that you have to do it exactly like I do, but something along those lines. But that's kind of where I'm at. I feel like I have decided that the podcast does need to continue, that I'm going to fit it into my schedule one way or another. But it's not completely decided to whether, we just need to shut it down. I just feel like, especially the Tar Heel podcast realm has been so much saturated. You go, you're Inside Carolina puts out podcasts, football, basketball, 2, 3 a week. There's Tar Heel Illustrated does some, videos and podcasts and stuff like that. Obviously, Jones and Adam, if you're a Tar Heel fan, I'm sure you listen to their podcast, which is kind of the official podcast. So, when I started, there was 2 others that I kind of listened, and they kind of shut down, and that's when I started podcasting, because I felt like there was nobody really talking about UNC basketball and college basketball and stuff. And now there's so many, and obviously Twitter is so much quicker and easier and stuff. You can do live video there and all that stuff. So it's pretty saturated, and so between my schedule and between that, obviously people are going to Jones and Adam. I don't think theirs is the same kind of format as mine, so it's not like I feel like totally overlap there. But between the saturation, the schedule, and stuff is kind of just questioning whether the podcast should continue or not. So again, would love to hear feedback from you. If you could add to the content of the podcast, definitely reach out to me. All the social medias are down below, but it's pretty much at Tar Heel Dan. DM me, private message, whatever, or email unchoopstalk@gmail.com. Love to be in communication with you about what should go on with the podcast going forward. But yeah, that's about all I wanted to really say. Going forward, I do want to do all those things. I'm hoping to get in touch with Blake from where's Blake? Where do you work at? Where are you the editor for? I don't remember right now. Just totally blanking here. But Blake has done the last couple of years recruiting podcasts, and I need to talk with him about doing a recruiting podcast here. Hopefully this month or the beginning of next month. Obviously, we got Late Night with Roy coming up this Friday already. So the recruiting podcast, and especially then after recruiting, we usually do a predictions podcast. So please send in your predictions. Again, you can send it into Twitter. You can send it into Instagram. You can leave a comment here on YouTube, and I'll get it. You can email it to me, and you can be as general, just plain, here's how many games we play. This is what I think our record will be. A lot of people, some people go into more detail. This is what we're going to do in regular season. This is what we're going to do in ACC play or ACC tournament, and then the NCAA tournament. And then here's the overall record, and we'll make it to this round of the NCAA tournament. However specific or non-specific you want it to be, you can. But send those into my Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, email, however you want to send it in. I'll get it, and I'll put you on the list so that at the end of the year we can look back and see kind of how people did. It's been kind of a popular one. But yeah, we got recruiting podcasts, we got the predictions podcast, and then I usually do kind of a players predictions podcast, what I think we can expect out of people, which is a lot harder this year because we got so many new guys that we haven't seen play for the Heels. So and then the people that are returning, we expect to kind of step up. So yeah, a lot coming up, needs to be coming up here. Appreciate you guys if you are still here listening, watching, the support you give the podcast. And to me, it's been crazy. I think I look back and started in like 2013, 2014. So, 5-6 years ago. It's been an amazing, time to do this. Obviously, between Final Fours, championship games, the Gonzaga championship game, the Villanova, loss in the championship game, early exits, even, as I would say, in the Sweet 16. It's just been crazy to follow all this, and yeah, I want to continue, and I'm going to try to do that. But this is just kind of my podcast stating I am back. The podcast is back, hopefully to stay now and to be more regular, and just appreciate you guys, appreciate the support, sharing out the podcast, and of course listening, watching. But that's pretty much what I wanted to say here, and I will see you guys soon in the next one. Until then, go Heels.